So at the age of 27, the very day that I got my Canadian citizenship, I had explained to the judge that I really needed to go to India very soon because the monsoon was over and I needed as much time as I could before the heat came, and would she mind very much if I left the ceremony as soon as we were done and didn't stay for the, the coffee and biscuits afterwards. So she was fine with that. A friend picked me up. I changed out of my suit as we were driving to Calgary Airport and into travel clothes, and then I flew to India, to what was then called Calcutta. And I needed to learn Hindi. To get on at all, I needed to learn Hindi. So through some contacts, I got this wonderful teacher called Dr. Varma, who was actually from Allahabad. Although he was living in Calcutta, which is Bengali speaking, he was from Allahabad and spoke beautiful Hindi. And he very kindly offered to be my tutor. So I had tutorials with him every day for 2 weeks. At the end of it, he would not take any money at all, absolutely not. I gave him some gifts, but he was really, I think, more offended by my insistence on giving him something. Anyway, I then made the walk. I say it took 7 months. I started at what's called Ganga Sagar, which is where the river flows into the Bay of Bengal, and then walked upstream. And there were 2 reasons for that. One is that you always have the sun at your back, rather than walking into the sun. And secondly, the river rises in the Himalayas. And it rises at a place called Gormukh. And that is really the Holy of Holies. So you don't want to start there. You want to start down near the city of Calcutta and earn your reward, earn your special grace of being there by walking for months and months and months. So that's what I did. When I started out with a little cooker and pots and pans, all this kind of stuff. Within a day, I realized this is not going to work at all. So I gave them all away. And I think it was the second afternoon, or maybe even the first day, this young man popped out of a ditch, literally jumped up out of the ditch and said, "You will come to my house for lunch." And I looked around, there were no houses. Anyway, I said, okay, so we went home, and he was a local teacher. And he was delighted to have me in the house, and it turned out that he had heard me singing in the temple at Ganga Sagar the night before. Now, I should explain, I can't sing at all. But in the evening puja, in the evening worship, the microphone was passed around to everybody who was in this little room in the temple. I didn't know what to sing, so I sang the famous song called Evergreen, which was sung by, I can't think of a name right now, but anyway, I sang that and evidently heard this awful voice singing and asked who it was and found out I was a foreigner and I was making this padyatra, as they call it, a foot pilgrimage. Although I didn't say that at the time, actually, because it sounded preposterous to say that I am going to walk 1,500 miles. I just, no, I've come to walk to Calcutta, and that was it. Anyway, this delightful teacher invited me to stay at his house. He went out that night and borrowed money to buy a fish to cook dinner and present the meal to myself or my family. And it was a bilhazia fish, which is a very special fish in Bengal, very, very tasty to eat. And I stayed with him, and then the next day I set off again, and I quickly realized that actually you can't plan with this. You just get up and you walk, and whatever happens is whatever happened. So in the months of the walk, sometimes I would arrive at a tea stall late in the afternoon with nowhere to stay, and I would sleep on the table in the tea stall when the guy went home. Other times I would sit and talk, and of course I spoke a little Hindi, and they'd say, what are you doing? Or, where have you come from? And I would say, well, I've come from this place, I'm going to that place. Oh, where are you staying tonight? Well, I don't have anywhere to stay. Oh, you must come home with me. And so that happened quite often, actually, and I was very grateful. Once or twice it was quite a challenge. One night they gave me fish curry that was so hot I thought I was going to vomit over the meal, and I was just drinking water and yogurt, and the whole time I was just praying that I could keep this meal down because I didn't want to, obviously be sick in front of them. Anyway, after the meal, that was another time they insisted on giving me so much food, because every time I finished the chapati, but there was a little food left, they'd bring another chapati, and then I'd finish the other food and they'd bring me more because I still had chapati. And eventually I just ate so much that when I stood up, I had to go out the house and I threw up outside. I mean, what could you do? And I tried to explain in my best Hindi, I am a little man, I cannot eat so much. Your food is so good and I'm so greedy and I have to eat so much. I'm not sure if they took it in that heart or whether they thought that I didn't like the food, which is certainly not true.